Ready? $51.50 time.
Impressive.
Always been.
Wow.
I screwed it up. I don't know why. I practiced.
I just, you know what? I hate to say it. I didn't even recognize this one. I was just like, I got nothing. You know, that's where I usually.
The song. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do have a 5150 IBM PC, though.
You do?
Yeah,
really?
Of course. Doesn't everybody with a metal keyboard and all that, you know? I mean, and don't you have a museum? Yes. You got a little Macintosh there, so, you know.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, my little Jimi Hendrix is tipped over. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Back up.
You know, Eric, it's so cool that you just got a hat with just the logo on it, you know?
You know, 'cause we're like, it's like Starbucks at this point, right? You know, you don't need the name.
It is like Starbucks. That's exactly what I was thinking, is at some point they're like, we're just going to take Starbucks off of here because everybody knows.
Yeah.
They're the Kleenex of coffee.
Yes.
And so Clearblade is the Kleenex of IoT or something like that. I don't know.
We all have to blow our nose in something.
Yeah. So, hey, everyone, welcome to IoT Coffee Talk. Remember to like, share, and if you manage to make it to the end of the episode, comment and share your reactions. We'd love to hear from you. And also, remember, we come on here every week, rain, shine, hail, hurricane, tornado, whatever, natural disaster, because we do this for the kids, believe it or not. It's weird, I know. So we have a charity that we support called Elevate Our Kids at www.elevateourkids.org. And, you know, please make a donation. You know, it goes to bridging the digital equity divide for kids K through 12 in underserved and unserved communities. So if you would, you know, if you'd like to make a donation, please do that. Just go to the website. And if you're not into charity, but you're into fashion, you can pick up one of these, an IoT Coffee Talk t-shirt. Yes. Hot. Yes. You will look really, really cool.
Hotness.
And if you, get one, you get one for each of your family members, then you guys are going to look super cool. So, you know, consider it. And all proceeds go to Elevate Our Kids to support the charity. So anyways, looking forward to this conversation. But let's start off with Rob. Congratulations, dude.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you have turned to the dark side.
It's weird that,
oh my God.
It's weird that how many different people said the same thing. Welcome to the dark side. I was like, oh crap. This dark side.
Yeah. Were they a lot of them IDC people?
No, there were people, you know. Yeah.
I know a lot of IDC people. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's a hard job. I actually sympathize with the analysts because it's hard to dive deep and with any real insight. And so come on, Rob, you're perfect for it because you've been there, done that, and that's what made me so happy to see it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. No, you know, when I went through the interview process, I had to write like, you know, a 2,500 word report and presentation and stuff like that. And it is tough unless you're talking to the product managers and the different companies that are working on the things that, you know, you're covering in your scope of work, whatever. As opposed to like anybody else. I'm scraping the internet to find out what the heck, you know, this company's doing. or do they fit into this box?
Yeah.
Or try to create a narrative.
Cut through the BS, right? Because all of us have BS. It's like get to the real and say, oh yeah, okay, I get it, you're selling yourself, but let's get to the real of what it actually does, and try to make fair comparisons. That's hard to do.
Yeah. So I'll be focused on dedicated cloud infrastructure, aka private cloud, edge, stuff like that.
No IoT.
No IoT.
Oh my God.
No.
Edge is a good thing to focus on, though. There's so much out there.
When I think of IoT and IDC, I go back to, did you ever know Carrie McGillivray? She used to lead the IoT stuff for IDC, and then I remember running into her. I guess towards the end when she was, I know she left IDC, but she was doing telecom, and so I remember last time I saw her was literally in Boston right before we locked down for COVID. It was in the winter, it was snowing, and I was at Ericsson, and we were doing a analyst day kind of thing. So many of the analyst firms are in and around the Boston area, or in Connecticut. And so I remember running into her there. And she was the one who actually recommended me to start doing the briefings, all these military briefings I've been doing like 3 times a year. So that was cool. Anywho, yes.
Cool. I'm actually talking to IDC tomorrow. So put in a good
awesome.
word for me.
I don't even know who's running
IoT
at IDC.
A guy named Jonathan Lang.
Okay, I'll look him up.
Yeah. So anyway, congrats on the new gig, man. That's cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, writing reports, making copies.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's with the big firms, it's an interesting thing, right? It's a machine, so, but I mean, the resources that you're going to be able to tap into, it's pretty cool, and you're going to be working with our friend.
Which one?
David, right? Dave.
Yes. He's my boss.
Dave McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
Dave's my boss.
That dude is a good one.
That's how all this happened.
Good one.
Dave and I were talking. Yeah.
I love that guy. That guy's a cool dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. No doubt about it. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Good team that I'm on and everything. And So just so you. This was hard for me to understand or learn, this notion of dedicated cloud infrastructure. I think with the takeaway of what that is, it came out of private cloud kind of stuff. But I think the thinking was a whole lot of folks wanted to have that cloud experience on-prem, like the same experience like when you go into AWS or Azure portal, and how easy it is to point and click your way to getting infrastructure instead of doing it yourself. And so, over time, you saw private cloudish stuff, hyperscalers providing on-prem stuff. But then on the other side, you've got HPE and Dell and other folks also in that space, VMware.
Broadcom.
Broadcom, right. Because I think that's what, for that combination of, I still want so much on-prem or so much edge stuff, but I want to be able to manage it the way I do the cloud, as opposed to the good old days where I actually am crawling around with cables and doing all the hard work with servers,
Yeah.
Don't you think that's where we're going over the next couple decades? Going to be ubiquitous infrastructure. So I mean, I
remember seeing, like, when I was at Hitachi, at least Hitachi Data Systems in Santa Clara, their big thing was these hyper-converged systems, just mega server, insane amounts of RAM, crazy storage, with the notion of it's almost like a local cloud-ish kind of thing on-prem that you could just point and click your way and scale up and all that kind of stuff. In fact, we I remember back then we used one of the hyper-converged offerings from Hitachi to create a Lumada IoT hardware offering, actually, because there were some companies that said, oh, could you just roll in this whole thing pre-configured on-prem for us into our factory floor? Sure. And so that was my first experience with those kind of hyper-converged systems. And I think that was kind of leading the way to that more cloud-like on-prem environment.
Well, if you think about it, that's what's happening in AI supercomputing right now with, that's what, a GB200 MVL72 is, right? I think I got that right. I mean, that's what it is, right? It's a hyper-converged supercomputing friggin' appliance.
Yeah.
It's a whole rack or a whole massive multi-rack cluster. That's what it is. So
you're right.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of the traditional IT vendors, players, all kind of diving into that space, to try to simplify that for customers. We're, how we talk about how, I mean, there's like a shortage. There's not a lot of people, traditional IT people, that still know how to do things that we used to have to know how to do on at a company. You know what I mean? How to build servers and networks and DNS and all that hard stuff that we used to have to do before the cloud came and you just point and click. You have a whole generation of point and click cloud people who have no idea how to actually do the work.
Oh, yeah, dude, it's worse than that. I think you have a bunch of service managers. They manage vendors actually more and manage service providers than they do actually do the work, right?
Yeah.
They farmed everything out, Something that you really saw the media companies actually in the media entertainment industry when I was working and consulting in that area, they were making big moves. They were like one of the first to really make those big shifts. But anyways,
I never knew how to do it when I was there. I mean, I used to have to go to the server room and give the guy food so he would set up my CICS.
Give him a coffee.
Right? Like you used to, you're some 22-year-old kid programming. Go, please do my CICS entry. And you find out it's 4 characters in a table, and it took him a week and a half. I'm like, I had to give the guy food. Right?
Yes. We'll do kick screens for food.
Oh my god.
Yes, you had to pay homage to the mainframe wizards.
That's right.
And you
were those guys wearing robes and stuff?
They were, as far as they were robes. It was like, you go give your offering and you just hope not to be beaten on your way out the door. Yeah. You had
absolutely.
To show respect.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Eric, I mean, gosh, your business is so edge focused, it seems like, or a lot of it is. And the edge inherently needs those kind of skills.
Yeah.
Those on-prem, those out in the middle of nowhere, whatever skills with computers and networking, just the basic infrastructure. And I feel like, a lot of people don't seem to have those skills anymore.
Yeah. I'm constantly amazed at the people that we have that we brought in from places like Dell and others, then mix the hardware side of the world with the software side. Those people are so valuable. Yeah. They're out in the field in West Texas with spiders, and they're installing equipment and really, I mean, like it's scary, the stuff that they have to do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why this stuff is so hard. You got to know, one, you got to dodge the elements, and then you got to be out there with wildcatters and boots, and then you're also the tech person.
And overall, remember, Rob, our IoT plumbers episode. So, folks, if you didn't watch that, you should watch it. It's really, number one, it's funny, and number two, it's just thought leading.
I could never erase the image of Aaron Alsbrook wearing like biohazard suits and stuff like that. It's burned in my memory forever.
Aaron loves that stuff, so he got to go. I would laugh because we'd go on site, and we're the guys out there with the boots that are unscuffed, right? Because we just bought them to go on site.
Yeah,
you're at this like industrial site, and you're trying to be cool, and you realize, hey, look, I'm the tech nerd. Like that doesn't do this. I've got other folks that do that. But yeah, Aaron really likes digging in. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, those guys are looking at you going, oh yeah, look at these city slickers that bought their brand new Luke Casey lizard skin alligator boots that aren't scuffed.
Look at the hands of the programmer, right? There's not a callus on them, right? These are hands made for needlepoint.
Okay, Eric.
Tough construction.
Okay, Eric. I think what you said right there is a movie moment from the 1980s where someone looked at someone else's hands to determine if they'd ever done a hard day's work in their life. Do you remember what movie that was?
Gosh, oh my gosh, I don't. But I know it when you say it.
Well, I think it was a woman was looking at some guy's hand. He was previously a big time, commodities trader named Dan Aykroyd in Chicago. And then he had to trade places with Eddie Murphy.
Yes, that was it. Oh my gosh, you're going way back. And Chicago.
And Jamie
Olive hands.
And Jamie Lee Curtis, the kind-hearted, prostitute, took him in.
Any other kind?
Yeah, right. It's like, oh, you haven't done a hard day's work in your life. Maybe you're telling the truth after all. You're a commodities trader in Chicago.
Yeah. See, my trick was always to own it. It's like whenever you're on say, look, I'm the tech nerd. Like you guys, exactly what you're doing. We're just here not to get in your way, and please don't, please don't abuse us.
Yeah,
that's cool that you're out in West Texas with spiders and snakes and scorpions.
I wasn't. I've sent very talented people out to West Texas who sent me pictures of the spiders, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you need hazard
tarantula. Yeah.
Tarantulas and dust storms and all sorts of stuff.
Hey, Pete, where are you, dude?
Yeah, good question. I'm in Las Vegas.
You are, but you don't know where you are.
Well, no, I know where I am now. Yeah, I figured it out. I'm at the AIAA, which is this avionics aerospace convention.
Oh, yeah.
And
I got
speaking on a panel today about TinyML and Edge AI and avionics, which I know a lot about the first part, but the second part, I really don't know anything. So I'm gonna try to get educated this morning.
You should probably tell them to not put it in avionics.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't put don't let an LLM fly your plane.
Hallucinating your plane. But no, it's a pretty cool show, actually. Yeah, it's like NASA people here and
that's cool.
Air Force people, Space Force people. So
that's awesome.
That's a real thing, right? Space Force. I thought it was
Space Force is a real thing.
Netflix comedy
with the Star Trek logo. That's like the best part about Space Force is they went with the Star Trek logo for their logo.
Yeah.
That's like awesomeness that they decided to do that.
Very meta.
Yeah, it is. I wonder if they use communicators.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm just here for the day, and then I'm coming back tonight. So I did have a really nice dinner at Raku last night, though, Leonard.
No,
thank you for that. For the tip.
Reminder, right? You already
reminder, yes.
Yeah,
I was there once. Delicious Japanese food. Delicious.
Yes. So anybody who goes to Las Vegas and wants to get off the strip and get some real good Japanese sushi and other stuff, go to Raku.
All dishes.
Delicious.
Smart. Is it 1,000 degrees there right now, Pete?
Oh, it is ridiculous. I was walking last night about 10 o'clock at night. It was like in the 90s at like 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. And I was like, what is this? It's so bizarre. And of course today, it's like 105, 106. So, you don't.
I was just in Rome like the last 2 days. It was 100 degrees in Rome.
Oh my God.
Insanely hot.
Dude, Europe is like toast when it comes
Italy always is baking in the summer now. The past couple of summers, they have these really big heat waves, really dangerous.
Yeah. So, it's so nice to see.
It's toasty.
Yeah, it's so nice to see Mr. Vasquez on the scene.
How's it going, man?
I'm good.
The Yankees hat, who won in extra innings last night against the Phillies.
Finally. Well, this one's more important. Team USA.
Yeah.
But I'm actually working on a deck for Pete for his avionics show. He's going to pitch a subscription to the bathroom. And if it's not part of your economy ticket, you're not able to use it.
It's like a coin operated. You have to put quarters in.
Airlines
like 30 seconds per. It's like a car wash thing. Like
I love that.
Airlines need
the door pops open.
I'm not touching that with 10 foot.
Oh, you guys must work for Ryanair.
There you go.
Did it freeze?
Oh my!
You froze, David.
Yeah, you froze. You're in the digital divide. See, everybody, this is why you need to donate to Elevate Our Kids, is because of this. He has children.
We need to get a new laptop.
He has children. They need they need an internet connection.
He needs
that.
fiber optics to his house.
Exactly. What is this? This is ridiculous.
I know, but that's
This day and age.
we should take a screenshot of that. Actually, too late. It's like that's his new profile.
There it is.
And you're back.
Reboot the router. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unplug, packing works every time.
But David, I want to get your reaction to Rob's new gig.
Well, I
have to take
I'm
this
a little
opportunity.
concerned because first of all, he looks like he's employed already. There's several centimeters from the beard. So I think the changes have commenced.
Yes.
And I hope
corporate look.
that man right there is able to deliver value to new corporate clients over at that 3 initial company. I'm not going to say who because they're not supporting elevator kits just yet, but he's able to do this. I think IoT Coffee Talk will become more critical to Rob's mental well-being because, what is said here, folks, you just cannot find it anywhere else. And it's great. But Rob, congrats to you.
Thanks.
I hope we could keep you because you are irreplaceable, my friend.
Oh, that's so lovely to say. Wow.
Yeah. That's interesting that he tuned into that. But yeah,
It's kind of cleaned up a little bit.
A little bit. Let's not get too crazy.
Yeah. Hopefully.
So, David, where have you been? Have you been in Europe this whole time, or what's going on?
Dude, I've been gallivanting through France with a family. I just got back to Portland 2 days ago. So when Eric talked about the heat in Rome, it's all over Central Europe.
Yeah.
And so I have one more week of playing around. I'm going to the Caribbean next week.
Nice.
Wow.
Yes, and then when school's in, then I need to go find a real job.
Yeah.
No, but it's been
But
great.
your beard's already trimmed, so you're good.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready, man. I am getting ready.
Yeah. So anyone who's looking for like an awesome dude to bring onto your team, there you go, right there.
On our website, looking for awesome dude.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm putting that on my cover letter.
Yeah.
And with all that years of experience at Verizon, it means you're a network expert, which means you know how to unplug Ethernet and plug it back in.
You just find the industrial control systems and you just swap Ethernet cables like there's.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
So don't plug into the wrong speed on the token ring.
Yeah.
That's
Bring
what
it down.
bad. Yeah.
Bring it down in Chicago in the 90s.
Open all ports.
Yeah.
So hey guys, let's talk about technology. Last week you guys just talked about Java the whole time, right?
Java.
Yeah, you guys just
Java. Yeah, last week was the Java show.
It was a lot of Java.
Freaking Java show.
We talked about Java
future.
primarily. Yeah.
Yeah. But then we had all kinds of crazy stuff happen over the past couple of weeks, right? So what'd you guys think about that whole CrowdStrike thingy? Or is that all old news now?
No, you know what? Last week we said we will reserve till next week, which is now, to go deep on the CrowdStrike thing. So I think let's just go medieval right now.
I saw Weston.
Delta's doing that right now, right? They just hired the lawyer, right?
Oh, yeah, that lawyer is going to look very familiar. That lawyer is very familiar to Microsoft, actually. David Boyes.
Yeah.
Oh, they've seen him before, like 20 years ago. Or 20.
Oh yeah, he's a very famous guy. I don't know if you saw David Weston's post. He did a big blog on kernel access to Windows kernel access and the rationale behind that and the history and stuff like that. So I thought that was good for anyone who wants to kind of get a little bit of context.
Yeah. You shared that on LinkedIn, right? You shared that on.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually, that's where I got it from.
Good.
Thank you for posting that, Pete.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting that he's basically saying like our best practices are to not to do what a lot of these security companies are doing. But that being said, it's still allowed and it's still part of their business model. So I think maybe we'll see Microsoft kind of more strongly migrate functionality out of the kernel mode for a lot of these third-party folks moving forward.
I think that the Delta I'm excited about the Delta lawsuit, not because they're suing, but I think it's going to, whether they want to or not, if they're serious about it, they're also going to have to flush out their own internal processes, some of their architecture, because word on the street is that it wasn't all CrowdStrike's fault. Like, yes, they screwed up big time, right? Like, I'm not defending that, but there were also, Delta has not been, and if you're a Delta customer who has to call in, this, there's been very little investment in IT at Delta for the last 2,000 years because, well,
Southwest.
Lots of reasons. So I've been looking at that angle as to, are they going to get exposed? Is this another issue? Was it mismanagement or underfunding? Did you get rid of all your competent IT people because you needed to maximize shareholder value? And this just bit you in the ass. And, and now they're going, I think Ed Bastien, their CEO, said that the CrowdStrike issue cost them $500 million, which is a ton of dough. But I wonder what that organization would have looked like with a $50 million investment, $100 million investment 3-4 years ago to now, bring them to where they're at. So super. Okay.
Yeah. Now they can sue someone and get that money to now make the investment.
Well, I'm sure they won't use that money to do a stock buyback or anything.
No, absolutely not. Who does that, Rob?
Nobody would do that. It's immoral.
Bonuses. It's about bonuses, everybody. One-time bonuses.
I woke up Friday morning with my family to go to flight to Rome, and I'm like, holy crap, this is not going to be good going to the airport. I got lucky. I was on United out of Chicago.
Already on the flight.
No, we were, but we got delayed, but we got out, and I was really, really surprised that we did.
Yeah, I thought you were about to say we got lucky. Southwest Airlines started flying to Italy, and luckily they're still running Windows 3.1, and so they're good to go.
I heard they were running Commodore 64. Is what I saw online.
Even better. Yeah.
A couple of TRS-80s in there.
Exactly.
TRS-80. Oh, that was Radio Shack. Yep.
Wow.
At which point do they do something different at Southwest? Because I get it. I mean, we talk a lot about here of if it's not broke, why fix it, right? We can go into existing system and brownfield. The machine is built properly. It's not going to break until Jimmy retires at 200 years. Yeah. But when do we say enough is enough?
I think at this point, what you really want to do is spin up like a Windows 3.1 VM on Azure, and then just migrate all those Southwest workloads to the cloud. The lift and shift. Just get 3.1 running up there, and you're all good, right?
So you want a funny story? That's actually what Clearblade was founded to do, and that's what we did for the first 5-6 years of our existence was enterprise modernization. Yeah. So we did a lot of those projects where we would lift and shift from database natural on a mainframe to something like Java, right? And big, ugly, messy projects, and you're spending millions of dollars to basically get the same system. So it was a very tough sell. So I did a lot of work with IBM Labs, and I can go on this boring topic, but that technical debt and the fact that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Eventually, you're right. Dave in IT has retired and now passed on his COBOL books to someone else, and eventually nobody knows how the system runs.
His grandson.
Granddaughter.
Or
they passed away. I mean, that's the state of big government systems. I hate to say it, air traffic control. But that's what I used to do. So anyway, it's scary.
I had a friend of mine from France who lives in Nantes, and he told me the most extreme scenarios, kind of like what you're talking about, modernizing some old stuff. And so it was his job to modernize some Visual Basic 3 16-bit apps from Windows 3.1 to bring it all the way to today. And so he had his copy of VB3, and then VB4 was the first version that would do 32-bit, because Windows 95 had come out and NT. And so it had a migration tool. So he went from VB3 to VB4 to translate it to 32-bit, then VB6 to upgrade that modern, to get it more modern, right up to the late 90s. And then .NET had some tooling for all the VB guys from the 90s to import it into VB.NET, then the translator to translate it to C#. Anyway, but to your point, for same functionality, nothing new, just a modern supported platform was all it was.
So let me ask one of my well-placed but ignorant questions. On this topic, back to Southwest, so current status versus, Pete's idea of lift and shift. What are the benefits from a survivability perspective? Like if poop hits the fan and you're at current status versus no, you migrated, you virtualize, you're on the cloud. Are there any advantages, or is it straight up, it just makes no sense?
I'll answer. The advantages of doing it is you can coordinate how much poop hits the fan at what speed, because you have to eventually address the problem. To not do it, eventually you're going to get it's just a matter of time, right?
Yeah, but
you're going to have a failure, and no one's going to know anything about how the system works, and it's going to be massive.
Yeah, but for the CrowdStrike stuff, the quote unquote outage or the brickings happened with devices that are newer, not older. Actually, the older stuff didn't get affected. It's the new stuff that got affected.
Right.
So I think one of the biggest problems here, especially in the media, we got to call out the media, and actually a lot of financial analysts as well as industry analysts who jumped the gun on this and set the wrong starting point for the conversation. They didn't look for the root cause. What is it? They actually blamed Microsoft first. They called it a Windows thing because they saw the blue screen of death. And they say, oh, hey, Microsoft screwed up again, right? But, there's a lot of complexity in what we're talking about. You guys have made great points already, but it all boils down to, that one template file that made its way through their CI/CD checkpoints and their release management QA processes. That's where you have to start. Then you work your way toward, okay, well, so all these affected companies who are customers, what is their relationship with CrowdStrike? Because going back to what we've already pointed to or brought up, this whole outsourcing mentality may have some implications, but they've outsourced the liability typically to a vendor, right? And so how that plays out in the Delta case, we'll see. But I don't think the fact that they have old ass systems is really
you're right.
a problem here. I mean, this is like it's a little bit of a deflection from what the real problem is, and I think it probably has to do with over automation, pulling a person out of the middle, and then just trying to automate the flow for something that they thought was a mundane process, right? Which is, hey, we're just pushing out a config file.
Yeah, it's a content update, and it's about speed, because we want to make sure that we get the security updates out there as fast as possible.
Right.
And in the end, you skipped a couple key steps to make sure you didn't.
Well, even worse, it's a content validator that failed. It allowed this thing to go through, and that's where I think we really need to put the focus. Well, number one, what is this? What is this? Is this your own thing, or is this Looker, or?
He knows the answer.
I think there's two things here, though, Leonard. Like you said, there's definitely a process failure. So this company had a process failure in analyzing their code and doing the right checks. I used to do a lot of photo stuff, doing a lot of over-the-air firmware updates, and you had all these triple, quadruple checks to make sure whatever you sent didn't break the device. So there's definitely a process failure, but there's also an architectural vulnerability here in that, because Microsoft let folks have this kind of kernel level access for file operations and things, that goes back to business decision that was made many years ago with McAfee and Norton and stuff like that. They have these third-party security, antivirus software that has been using these APIs for a long time. And they need to provide access to them either economically because PC OEMs are making revenue off of that, or whatever, the Department of Justice. So that's really the kind of, and I think this is what Weston was talking about, is like, how do you sort of close that architectural hole so that even if someone does have kind of a poopy process and quality, they still can't brick the machine.
Yeah.
So,
as Pete is alluding to, I'd be happy to just go deep on this whole thing, folks. Your uncle
give us the
Rob
IDC
here.
perspective, Rob.
Yeah. But to what Pete was talking about, he talked the business thing. It was obviously Microsoft's no stranger to Department of Justice stuff, or their friends in EU in Brussels. And so a while back there was this notion of a kernel guard technology, kernel patching deal to protect the NT kernel that everybody's running on Windows. And guess what? There's Windows Defender, which is the built-in antivirus thing that you get out of the box. A whole lot of all the antivirus and malware people were up in arms saying this isn't fair. Your stuff's getting access. And here's the deal: when you're like, all you semiconductor people out here know, like, there's Ring 0 and Ring 1 and all that kind of stuff, Ring 3 and blah blah blah. All right, so there's the user mode. Let's just keep it simple and just say 2 rings. There's user mode and there's the CPU, the kernel mode, right? And when you're in kernel mode, your application, your software can see everything in the computer, all the registers, the memory locations, everything, which is dangerous because you can change pointers and do some weird stuff and bring down the whole the software, right? And so anyway, the EU pushed really hard to make sure that Microsoft would not prevent all these other players who says, I need that level of access to truly protect your computer from malware. Because if I'm out of Ring 0 and in user mode, you only get to see this part of the world, or each application sees their stuff, but they don't get to see what's going on. So anyway, there was an EU thing and it forced Microsoft's hand, and so they had to open it up and allow these guys to get this kernel access that Pete's talking about. And yes, it's a multifold problem, no doubt about it. CrowdStrike screwed up. Their QA process, their testing didn't happen. Here's the weird thing. All right, so there's drivers and there's kernel mode drivers, and they have to get certified by Microsoft, and they get a digital certificate, right, to say, yeah, you're good to go. So what CrowdStrike did is interesting, because they're updating their malware and they're updating maybe their code so often, it would take weeks. Each time you had to recertify your new bits going out, and that seems cumbersome. So what CrowdStrike, trying to be clever, is they certified the original bits. But then if you looked at the config file, because they were like, we're just uploading a config file. The config file wasn't just a config file. There was P code in the file, and their software would read that in as if it was source code and update itself cleverly without having to go through the certification process again. That's where you hear about the null pointer thingy. That happened there. It imported that and started running it as code. So it's a clever workaround, an evil workaround, and to get new code on there without having to certify it every time. And so since that config file that was actually really source code had that null problem, it blew stuff up. And then you're right, you're at kernel mode, and then it brings down the whole deal. The blue screen of death is actually a safeguard for Windows, is what it is. It just to stop things, because it could, if you didn't just halt the system, all kinds of apps and other things could get corrupted and lots of weird stuff could happen. So it's all bad. So it's a lack of QA. It's a lack of that sneaky stuff. I think the Mac is allowed to protect its kernel. Apple's always been kind of allowed to get away with stuff because of their walled garden, because they made the computer and the OS and everything, and they say this is just one product. They've been able to do stuff that Microsoft's not been allowed to do by the government, because Microsoft's like this open system. Every vendor, everybody gets to play in the playground of Windows at their own peril. And so, and then it goes back to rolling it out to the point of where are all the testers? Where's QA at the individual customer? And I don't want to make Delta and everybody else, at fault-ish. They're the victims at this. But as that stuff started rolling out, people have just become too reliant on these CI/CD pipelines.
Yeah,
They're too asleep at the wheel with DevOps.
Yeah.
And they're
Why don't
just
they
like,
quarantine that update first and test it, quarantine it before they roll it out to everything?
Exactly.
So
Absolutely.
that's
Well, it's supposed to be it's basically benevolent code injection is what
Yes.
that is, right?
yes.
But in this case, it wasn't benevolent. It wasn't
No
supposed
such
to be.
thing, I guess.
Yeah, there isn't, because people make mistakes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a person, because the tool failed.
The tool,
Like I said, it's more than a process issue here. It's why did the tool fail? What is the tool that you used? And did you have human diligence examining things before it went out? And we've been talking about the whole MVP mentality and how sort of toxic it is. This is exactly what we're talking about, except now it's maintenance mode stuff. Let's just push stuff out as fast as we can. Let's invest as little in testing. I mean, we've seen this time and time again, generation after generation of technology waves. Testing gets cut out. And, so all the stuff with the kernel access, these are all known things, right? It's not like a mystery. And so if you know that these are risks, you create processes to mitigate and minimize incidents like this. I don't think that's really where the blame should go. And I think it was really funny that Microsoft piped up so early. I think their biggest problem is the PR hit that they took with the blue screens of death. That's number one, superficial, and it distracts from it deflects actually from what the real issues are. You know what I'm saying? That we're talking about right now, and what Rob is talking about. So, I mean, anyway.
And as you probably read, the same thing happened in April for Linux. CrowdStrike rolled stuff out and Linux goes into kernel panic mode. And so in April, they had the same problem. It just wasn't widely reported because a lot of people didn't
impasse.
Right? Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of this is systemic of the assumption that things are secure. The assumption that, we're protected. I mean, look, speaking of them, I'm not, I think it's widely known, I'm not a Microsoft fan.
You're not?
I'm not at all. I'm literally going to do a piece on all of the things that they've had happen over the course of the past 10 years, reported and unreported, and I really don't care. The simple fact that you assume, and wrongfully so, that Active Directory is my single sign-on. Active Directory is your portal into everything that is going to go wrong the minute that it can. The same thing happened just recently with ransomware hackers. You can go look at CVE 2024-37085, which gives
Wait a second. Let me go. Nope, there it is.
Write that down.
To Active Directory that allowed VMware ESXi hosts to be compromised. I mean, this just on the heels of CrowdStrike. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the assumption, everyone, is that you're safe. You're not. And it's not going to be anytime soon.
Yeah, but Bill, so there's secure and there's reliable, right? And then there's reliable, meaning, if you do have a regime of quality that fosters security, like if you're like a company like CrowdStrike in the cybersecurity game, reliability is another important piece of the puzzle, right? And that's really where this stuff failed. You're now talking about a much bigger problem of the Microsoft ecosystem, and that has to be dealt like separately, but I think we're in our rant, we're highlighting a lot of those.
Well, no, I mean, sure, reliable, but reliable is incumbent upon the OEM. If I create something and I'm an ecosystem partner of whoever it is, the reliability of what I have and am delivering is incumbent upon me.
Sure.
And there needs to be checks and balances on the other side that say we're not going to trust that you did everything that you said you're going to do or that you say you're doing. We now have other checks and balances that are going to vet this before we ever push it out.
Right. But that's also incumbent on the corporate buyer too, to say like, I'm not going to buy systems unless I can quarantine all updates or I have this checks and balances. So you have architectural issues, you have ecosystem issues, the quality issues of process, but ultimately the buyers, hopefully corporate America corporate around the world will be like, okay, anytime updates come through now, I need to quarantine them. I need to.
At the end of the day, if you're CEO of a security company, you're the CEO of a security company, and you let this happen on your watch. I got to go there. I got to go to the CEO. I'm sorry, because ultimately it may not have been a person. It's a process. It's up to you to make sure that your security company doesn't crash a bunch of servers and cause a problem. I think that's where the blame lies, in my opinion.
Well, I just want Bill and Pete to stop trying to fix this, because for my thriving consulting business, I have a perfect statement of work where I will deliver manual BitLocker recovery, and I will go airport by airport just to fixing machines, flat rate, don't even worry about it. It'll be great for me.
$1,000 per machine.
$1,000 a machine, flat rate.
Flat rate.
Yes.
Well, I mean, look, David, all you got to do is, hit me up, man. I will white label for you an SBOM hub and the workflows and all of that stuff. And we can put loss prevention as a service you deliver.
Yeah.
On my way to Texas right now, Bill.
All right.
The new booming CrowdStrike recovery business.
I love it.
Taking off.
Oh,
well,
throw Arctic Wolf in there as well.
Speaking of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Phoenix
My
rising
email
from
has,
the ashes.
my email has been spammed with lists of, hey, you want CrowdStrike? I'm like, my gosh, let's go. I mean,
yeah.
And now we're going to let AI and DevOps all run the world as we go forward. As Rob mentioned earlier, you've got this DevOps mess of abstraction now that allows stuff like this to happen. And people are it's really all about speed and profitability and skipping these checks and balances. And that's got to stop.
Yeah.
I don't know how we stop it. But.
And when you think about, I mean, I have to say, when I was at RSAC 2024, CrowdStrike was one of the few vendors actually that was like kind of going full tilt with generative AI and their tooling and stuff like that, marketing it really big, and saying, hey, we're incorporating this into our flow, our tooling, blah, blah, blah. Everyone else, for the most part, Microsoft excluded, because they were pitching Copilot for security pretty hard. Not doing a really good job, by the way. Everyone else is super cautious. They've been working with the stuff going, oh, we just not. I mean, I had so many conversations, right? Like the way I introduced the conversation was, okay, guys, hit me. And they go, what do you mean? It's like, I know you have some sort of generative AI thing. Lay it on me. Let's get this over with first. And they would look at me going, dude, are you stupid? Some of them actually said, they gave me like the stink face. They go, no, we don't do that. I had several tell me that. It's like, no. Yeah. Here, we're using machine learning, the stuff that we've done before, tested, tried, and true. This is what we're leaning on. We're still very experimental with this generative AI stuff, but we're not putting it into anyone's production pipelines of any sort, CI/CD and otherwise, right? And
so isn't this a shot across the bow though for all of us? Like with all that's coming, this is a great let's take a step back and consider the implications, because I think that's the way we all ought to treat it. Like, let's take pause and let's start looking at these things and reassessing where we're going with all this speed, right? I love it. Let's innovate and speed, but let's take a step back and protect ourselves from ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, here's a rant, and I'm going to take Leonard's comment of what the media got wrong right away, and Eric's comment regarding the CEO responsibility. When the CrowdStrike thing went public, it was early morning in Europe, because I remember I responded to a post, so you guys were all sleeping, and I'm going to pull it up and attach it to the episode comments. But I joked, give it about an hour for people that don't understand the issue, and all these vendors are going to go, hey, I don't know what the hell just happened, but if you had my service, come on, right?
Yeah.
And that is insane and very dangerous. And there was someone who I have personally in high regard that commented about 5G could have helped out with this. And I wanted to grab my computer and just throw it. Like no. Like, there's a line. You don't cross that line.
Yeah.
But dude, and this is also something that we need to take a step back and go wait a minute. What was it? What wasn't it?
Root cause.
Let's take stock. But dude, it's insane. It's an SHIT show still.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, people were blaming the cloud. They said it was a cloud outage. And then they started, and again,
cyber attack.
They said it was a Windows bug, all kinds of things that were, but what the actual root cause was and the situation. I think one of the things that really confused everyone is the way that CrowdStrike, kind of had to characterize it, because it's a standard designation in the industry is that it's an outage, right? Where I think lay people think of outage as a service outage. They don't necessarily think of it as the bricking of endpoints, right? And that, I think, confused a lot of people. But that's kind of like the way that, an outage is how NIST defines these types of incidences, right? More from a client server perspective. And I think it's that kind of semantic disconnect that also fostered the confusion, because almost everybody, if you go and you look at the first accounts of this in the media, it was they go, is the cloud safe? Those are the headlines. It's like, it has nothing to do with the cloud.
Is software safe?
Yeah.
No, yes and no. It depends, right?
Yes.
Are computers safe? Are people? We can go on and on, right?
But it is a bit of the host client situation, right? CrowdStrike is there. If you're looking at an IT organization, CrowdStrike sits there, and you have a client on each one of the assigned.
Sure.
So it's that relationship. The part for me is the I go back to the foundational elements, right? If you're going to build something, you have to test it. If you test it in-house, it's kind of like the fox guard in the hen house. If you don't have a third-party black box, white box testing organization to validate what it is that you've done, then you're kind of out to lunch. You're like, yeah, it's safe. We regression tested it and everything. Go ahead and install it. Oops. No, wait a minute. We got a patch.
Yeah.
It also didn't help that CrowdStrike, if you don't work with it, no one knows what it is. Like, what the hell is CrowdStrike? That also did not help. Everyone just kept saying, CrowdStrike out. Like, what is that? Where we
They gave out the Uber Eats coupons though for $10.
Yes, $10.
Bad form there, man.
I got 20.
Hold on, Rob. I'm going to defend it, because I think, let me explain the strategy behind a $10 Uber Eats gift card to these organizations that were affected. Now, anyone who's been out in America the past 2.5 years knows you can no longer have a lunch for less than 15.
Especially if you're stuck at an airport.
Have you gone to McDonald's lately?
Get a bottle of water.
You tried to get a combo at McDonald's in the last year. So the strategy is they affected the airline so much that these people that were the recipients of the $10 gift card, they're going to have to leave the country to go use the $10.
My kids got the $20 scan the thing in the airport, but because all the systems were down, they couldn't scan it to use their $20. So so we didn't benefit at all.
Is there a problem with digital transformation in general?
Oh, jeez, you had to ask.
It's hard.
It's hard.
I
think I think the answer is yes. I mean, as someone who's lived it, it's very. I mean, there's a problem.
Speaking of digital transformation, I'm at this avionics show, and I just want to say on this table, someone left their pencil, and it's a beautiful pencil with a cool eraser, and even
that is like a 1970s. You stick the eraser on the end to extend the eraser life.
But the good news,
Peter, what's really scary is that just fell out of a Boeing plane.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, 30,000 feet probably.
But the good news is that all these digital,
I'm going to put it back on the table.
If all these digital systems go down, that pencil is still going to work.
It is. And it's the guy that owns that pencil is the guy that's maintaining that COBOL system for one of these big companies. So you need to give it. You need to get.
I'm going to leave that pencil where it is. Yep. Hopefully, he'll find it, or she.
You need to get that back to Ed or Leon or whoever that belongs to.
So I can imagine Ed over at Delta getting his Uber Eats coupon and going, "Oh, I guess I won't sue them after all." Right. Yeah, I think. This brings up obviously I was sitting there on X on Twitter right when it's happening, and you're seeing the CEO of CrowdStrike trying to dispassionately tell you what's going on. This is not a security. This is not a hack attack. This is not about, we're working on it. All the comments, people are like, when are you going to apologize? Why have you not apologized? The guy never said he was sorry the whole time. And it was very sterile, very, as a matter of fact. But the takeaway for the whole planet was we just witnessed the outcome of it is the same as the biggest hack attack in the history of the world all time. Is the outcome. So who cares that it wasn't hackers? We just saw, and then Microsoft said it was less than 1% of Windows computers that were affected. Less than 1%, and it took down almost the whole planet. So can you imagine if it was 50% of Windows or whatever? This is everybody. Eric was saying it. We got to step back and take pause and rethink a whole lot of things because we got a lot of eggs in one basket here. We need diversity of systems. We need, gosh, I mean, maybe rethink how an operating system is built too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, hey, do we really need diversity? Because that's one of the biggest challenges that the cybersecurity industry faces right now is there's so many players out there. It's so fragmented, right? And,
so many entry points.
Yeah. I mean, there's a recognition that there needs to be some degree of consolidation because the bad actors are consolidating and they're enabling themselves. And
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, because you just said it. Microsoft said 1%. I don't know if that's true or not. 1%.
Yeah.
So how does the diversity argument play there? I mean, it's just something to think about, right?
What I mean, diversity of operating systems, diversity of security is what I mean. Because to your point, a company like Microsoft or any other company, like Peter Thiel says, your goal is to become a monopoly. And so that's your goal. And that's what everybody's trying to do. And pretty soon, one company is making all the products that used to be made by all these other smaller companies. And they're just saying, but see how much easier it is if you just get it all from us. Yeah. And a lot of companies go, yeah, that sounds easy. Let's do that. One throat to choke. And then pretty soon, all your eggs are in one basket. And when that basket gets thrown off the side of the road, you're a bunch of cracked eggs sizzling in the Las Vegas sun, baby.
There we go. That's the analogy. That was perfect.
Oh my gosh. All right. On that note, I think we got to close this out. So who wants to take us out?
Why? How's that a question?
Oh, that's right. Okay. Do your job. Do your job.
Do
your job.
You have one job.
One job.
You only have one damn job. Yeah.
Folks, it is that time of the episode where you have made it this far and you are now taking stock of what is happening with you as a person. But we thank you. We thank you for spending your time. Thank you for hanging out here at IoT Coffee Talk. We have solved so many issues today for free and not sponsored by anyone, because we give it to you straight up, like Pete's pen that he just found on the trade show, and he's going to leave it there for the safety of mankind. So we hope you learned something today. We hope you took some things away, and now you know what a kernel is. If you don't know, watch the episode. With all of the advantages from the knowledge that's being provided here, we will likely stop this from happening again. And we hope Scott Kirby at United and Ed Bastian at Delta to give some money from those savings to a good cause, like Elevate Our Kids. We take all this money and we take it to underserved communities, and we try to close that digital divide that keeps trying to grow and fight us every day. So folks, thank you for listening in. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. We're on YouTube, we're on your streaming platforms. We are on platforms that haven't even been created yet. We are there for you. So thank you. Coffee's done, and we'll see you next week on IoT Coffee Talk. Peace out.